Hi. I hope I'm not interrupting.
No. Do you want to come in?
Sure.
Come in, come in. Met Norma.
Hi, Norma.
Hi.
I have to apologize to you, Alicia.
What?
I was mistaken about you. I met Jack, and I clearly made a very wrong assumption about your childhood.
It's okay, so Child Protective Services. They just love putting people in boxes, you know. Mine's labeled troubled child.
I hate even bringing it up, but I've been thinking a lot about Whitney, and you know, I would understand if you were looking for a settlement from Randall. I know it sounds awful, and I just want you to know that I understand that you're all hurting for money right now.
I really think you can't even see what you're doing. I don't need your pity.
Of course not. No, you're right. I'm completely out of line. I'm very sorry. I should go.
Julian.
Waalaikum salam.
How are you?
Fine, praise be to Allah. Just I'm ever more thankful that you sent out that reminder.
Yeah, I've actually meant to send it earlier today, but got caught up in a meeting and didn't get to it.
No, it's all good. I mean, I got it. I got
All
it,
right.
and I was glad that I did because I was about to go downstairs and get me a little something to eat. Now I'll just sit here and drink my water. And I'm gonna have to jump off in about not quite 40 minutes
Okay.
in order to make Margaret.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, because you're an hour ahead of me. I don't, mine doesn't come in until about 7:51 or something like that, my time.
Yeah.
So I've got plenty of time. You're pressed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So Adam is joined, but I think there was something in the background. I don't think he's physically right there with his equipment at the moment.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Well, like assalam, brother. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'll be deep in the background, man.
Okay, that's fine. Because I will be, for the most part, myself, except when I got to throw some more meat on the fire. So we'll give it maybe 3 more minutes, and we'll open officially at 5 after, let's say.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
What have you been thinking about what happened? I mean, all the stuff that even happened today. I mean, not only the tariff related stuff, but the movement of B-52 bombers to a launch site at a place called Diego Garcia on the same day that he was meeting with Netanyahu.
No, I didn't. I haven't really paid much attention to that. I know that he was in town, and they were supposed to meet, and I think they did meet.
Yep.
But whatever the press conference was afterwards, I don't believe it took place.
Okay.
It was supposed to, but it didn't. But I didn't hear anything about that sort of movement. But every, I mean, if you want some intrigue, just check back every hour, because there's something.
Well, I mean, the stuff that he does just as a provocateur doesn't affect me very much. But I had too many family members in the military that I understand what it costs to move B-52 bombers out of Missouri to another base with everything that has to go with them, all the refueling planes and all that stuff that actually has to travel with them.
Right.
Nobody takes that step lightly. We're talking millions of dollars.
Right. It's not like you and I decide to take a road trip.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm when I get time, I'm going back on social media to look up those MAGA Muslims that were in love with Trump.
They're not there anymore.
I know where to find them.
Oh, you know what? you got names and addresses.
I got names.
Okay. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I knew they were there. I didn't pay too much attention to them. I just prayed for them.
See, it's just these guys, they be on Facebook like they scholars.
Mm-hmm.
You follow them?
Yes.
And they talk down to people that didn't want to support Trump. There were a couple of them on there today. Mm-hmm. And I just said to everybody else, he's probably getting paid. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
You can't believe somebody could be that stupid, huh?
And they be one of them claims he followed man Muhammad. He be quoting him, man.
Wow. Yeah, that in itself, that's a problem. I don't mind people having their own belief system, and wanting certain things to go a certain way. That in and of itself doesn't bother me. But when you actually then throw other people's names in it,
yeah,
and you start affecting the way people view them and their character and where they were coming from, that's wrong. That's 100% wrong.
Yeah.
And people should come down hard on anybody that does that.
Mm-hmm.
They should not be allowed to just get away with saying that. I don't care who they are. I mean, maybe they got friends in the community and all that kind of stuff, but when you do something like that, and it's obvious, then yeah, you need condemnation. So, Assalamu alaikum, Sister Bina.
Walaikum assalam.
So let's, Imam Talib, if you don't mind, you go ahead and open this up.
Yes, sir. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbi Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka nabadu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina sirata mustaqim. Suratal ladina anta ilayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.
All right, so we know what our topics are, today, and we know that there are going to be some issues facing all of us to a certain extent based on decisions that have been made by the current administration. I want to throw some things into the fire to kind of give us an idea of what a lot of people in our country are facing if some of these policies stay in place. So in 2009, the minimum wage was $7.25. Since then, the cost of a Big Mac has gone up 60%. The average rent has gone up 70%. And the investment vehicles of NASDAQ has gone up 800%. And the minimum wage is $7.25 in 60 years. One in every four United States workers makes less than $17 an hour, which means that 18 million US households struggle every month just to secure enough food to feed themselves. And 12 million renters are severely cost burdened to the point that they are spending basically 50% of their wages on housing. And that's before what we're now potentially going to experience with higher cost on any number of things. So I just wanted to throw that in there. That's the United States Department of Labor.
So, considering all of what you just said, and looking at the current conditions with, more people losing jobs and these various threats of to the, what do they call them? The social service networks, the Social Security, the Medicare, the Medicaid. One of the things that when I listen to those statistics of 1 in 4, what did you say? Make less than 17,000 a year?
Make less than $17 an hour.
Make less than $17 an hour. Okay. So whatever that computes to, I'm imagining the people who are going to suffer more are those who may make 2, 3, 4, 5 times that much and may be unaccustomed to scraping just to get by. And it's not to say that someone making $17 an hour is better equipped to deal with getting less or working with less. So they're, that somehow, they're going to be all right. But it's those who have, and I'm just using this word loosely, those who have tricked themselves into thinking that they're doing better than someone making $17 an hour until they lose their job or until the threat is there that, you just started working for us. Yes, we had you under a contract where you were going to be earning $45,000 a year, but we're going to terminate you because you're still probationary. And you may be, I don't know, you may have been on the job 9 months and you may have started to see some light at the end of the tunnel. Those are those are the additional people that I think about, in terms of how they're going to survive. But then it also leads me to think that this would be a perfect opportunity for them to find other entrepreneurial pursuits in order to be able to earn some money. Um, one, suffering is a test for all of us, and how we respond to that test is going to determine uh, whether or not we're going to be able to make it, not just as individuals, but for those of us who have family concerns, including extended family. Should you still have, should you still have your parents to care for, or an elderly relative, um, people that have disabilities, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I've heard all kinds of stories, um, and even have some of my own, but they pale in comparison to someone when I hear thousands of people were laid off. Um, so it's like whatever little problems I have, they pale in comparison to someone that just may have just lost their job for whatever reason, or even worse, one day you don't have a job for about 2 or 3 days, and then all of a sudden, through some sort of uh, half-baked court action, or someone changing their mind or making a mistake, or something that needed to be corrected, now they want you back. So the question for me becomes, what do we do with all this confusion? Whether it's us or somebody that we may know, or just somebody that you could imagine has lost out. Um, they may be behind in their rent, their car note, their house note. I mean, whatever the situation may be. How do where do we see the help coming from for them? I mean, are these people that you think may have the ability to be able to help themselves? Or is it going to require some of us to reach out and offer some recommendations or suggestions, or no?
Well, let's look at a couple of things. Number one, unemployment in the United States, say over the last 3 years, two years, maybe 2.5 years, has been at its lowest point since I was a child. So most individuals in the country who have the ability to work have been working. Most of the people that make 17, I mean, that's the bulk of the jobs in the country, probably, are people that make $18 an hour or less. Those are working people who struggle every month to put food on the table for themselves and their children, and to get their rent paid. So, I mean, those you're right in probably assessing that those particular individuals might have less emotional trauma than the so-class middle wage earning person who loses their $60,000, $65,000, $80,000 a year job, even if it's entry level at that point. But as our neighbor Hewlin always used to say, would you rather have an empty stomach or a troubled mind?
Okay.
Would you rather be worried or have no food to eat?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the people that make low wages, their issue could be, because we haven't really seen the impact yet. We haven't seen the prices skyrocket or anything like that. So this is all supposition at this point.
Right, that's right.
But let's say prices go up 50, 70%. And they're bringing less groceries home to feed the same number of people in the household. Now, my parents went through the Depression, and I know the stories they told, and they told half the story. Sometimes they were smiling when they talked about what they did to get through the Depression, how they shared food, how they did all these things, came up with all these creative dishes. So I'm not saying a human being can't rise to that same level today,
right,
and figure out a way to get by on that end. But that doesn't mean for any of them, no matter what wage class they're in, level of education or anything, that it's going to be easy to do that. And your question is perfect. What do we do? What can we do? Because if you really and truly think about it, we have been doing. I mean, the social services and stuff that we've had in place in this country for probably since the 60s have been social services that were created by sales taxes and our tax dollars. It's collective effort. It's collective. I may not have directly been involved in where my money went when I paid my income taxes, but a portion of that money that I paid in income taxes went for certain things that benefited those who were less fortunate than me. So collectively, the American people have been contributing and helping their fellow man out.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are other agencies outside, some with assistance from government, some operating 100% on their own, who've also offered additional assistance, right?
Right.
Got resources. I mean, went out and talked to grocers and wholesalers and stuff and said, when y'all have something extra, we got a food pantry. Could you deliver that stuff to our food pantry so we can help the poor? If you got clothes that you're no longer wearing, but they're in good shape, would you contribute those clothes to us so we can give them out, and things like that. So this country, from what I've been able to see, has made an effort to do those things. And I would expect that at a certain level that we're going to continue as individuals and organizations to do those things to support our fellow man and woman. So let's dial it down a little tighter, and let's ask, what are we doing, or what have we done, and then what are we prepared to do as a community of non-WD because the Jewish women's whatever they're doing it, Catholic Charities is doing something. What are we prepared to do? And probably with us on a local basis, every locale of any size probably doing something on their own, because to try to do it on a national level it's going to take too much time. But if you were to send a missive out to all of our communities to get started doing something just in case, what would that be? What would we tell them to start doing? And I'll give you an example of something that I read yesterday. And again, this is supposition based on what could happen. Is that you have families with children who have to buy school supplies, school clothes, so on and so forth, starting sometime in July, early August, or whatever. And there's a chance, since if you look at the tags in so many clothes, especially if you're buying them at Walmart and even Target, even though we're not supposed to shop there, and some other places, there's a whole bunch of made in China, made in Vietnam, whatever, on those tags. So a lot of that stuff could be hit by tariffs. And the cost goes up that 50%, 60%, whatever the case may be. How are those families going to deal with that? Of even clothing their children and getting supplies. I grew up where sometimes, I mean, if I hadn't outgrown them, the pants I wore in 4th grade, I wore 5th. So I understand that could happen as well, right? You don't always have to go get new clothes just because you moved up a grade. But for those families that don't have a choice, what are we going to do to be of assistance to those families that say are in our community? What kind of things can we start thinking
Well, one example, one recent example, I think any of us can look at is to think about how our communities came together, and I would tell you more locally and regionally than nationally, but how we came together during COVID. Now that may be somewhat different because during COVID, I would tell you 2, sometimes 3 times a week in this Washington metropolitan area, there was food distribution. There were even a couple of communities that while they were offering boxes of both perishable and non-perishable items, there were some communities that were also offering meals. There was one community I know in particular, let's see, it was a community and there's a group of sisters associated with our community. I think it's the International League. I don't want to call them the International League of Muslim Women, but they usually have various types of events, and you'll recognize them because their attire is red and white.
That is their name.
That is their name.
Yes.
Okay, right. Well, I have known them because I've contributed to it. I've known them to collect shoes, to collect clothes, for distribution. So there are some things that individual groups and individuals are doing in our community, but on a national level, I don't necessarily recognize anyone doing that. We just don't seem to have that sort of distribution network where everything could go into a particular hub and then, branch out from there. I would suspect that the example that Edward gave of children having going back to school, I would suspect that the social service agencies like Goodwill or Salvation Army or AMVETS or any of these other type of operations similar to that, that they would they're going to be overwhelmed. And again, all of this is speculation. I mean, we don't know what may be coming down the pipe, but there's no harm in being prepared. And there's no harm in you gaining a lesson from even, my apologies for that. But even, I know it all. So I think this is something we can all learn from to prepare ourselves. Oh, I'm sorry, this is my, okay, good. Somebody got it. This would be a opportunity for us to start preparing ourselves, speculating what could happen. And if it doesn't, we're still in a posture where whatever we're doing, it could prove to be helpful to someone. We might just start something. I mean, right now, I know Masjid Muhammad does food distribution every Saturday. And that's in cooperation with, I believe it's Islamic Relief. But that's only the food part. That's not taking care of, other people's necessities. Because there are going to be those costs. I mean, someone who may be short $300, $400, $500, or maybe even a full month's rent, they're going to need some help that many of our communities may not be able to step up and offer them something. Maybe individuals could, but I think now would be the time for us to start planning these sorts of emergencies. I was told, and any of you that were in the first can certainly either correct me or speak on this. But I was told under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that members of the Nation of Islam were required to keep, I think it was like 4 months of supplies. stored away for a period of time where, should some sort of catastrophe strike or there be a shortage of things, that you and your family would be prepared. Is that true, or?
I think Adam would need to speak on that because I was not in the nation.
I do know that there was an effort to, in a belief that Allah was going to destroy the white man for his sins.
Okay. Okay.
We were told to and there was an energy crisis in the 70s, remember?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
Odd even number tags would decide whether you got gas that day.
Exactly. And then a letter went out from the White House that we should conserve our heat, turn the heat down to a certain degree.
That's right. Yep. You're right. Yep.
We leave a FOI class and we say turn it up. We thought that this was Allah's going to destroy the white man, so we're going to facilitate his demise. That's how crazy we were. And some of that mentality still exists today. And that's why the nation was pushing Trump so hard. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And this is my philosophy. They were doing that so hard. They wanted Trump to win because we believe that was the final call.
Right. No, I
you understand?
Right.
Oh my goodness.
You know that? Yeah, but you didn't know that?
I did not know that. I don't pay that much attention to the nation. So, I mean, I get an occasional, I'll see an occasional note or post from somebody that when I investigate them, it appears they're a member of the nation. It's never clear, but it's, their post is such that you would think, man, you can't be in Imam W.D. Muhammad's community saying that. So, but the Nation of Islam as a whole, I don't get any information on that.
Well, they on some of them on my Facebook thread.
Okay.
So, and they still on there. Some of them are still on there.
Wow.
And unfortunately, there was a couple of brothers that supported Imam Muhammad. They claim to anyway. That's on there.
Mm-hmm.
So I got on there today before I got up. And I put a little note on the thing is they probably getting paid.
Right.
It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me. And the other thought that I have always detested, I think it's a sign of weakness, is that you want people to suffer.
Exactly.
So they run to you.
Exactly.
That is the weakest of people.
It's a shame, brother.
That. Yes.
It's a shame.
Yep.
I wear a brother out. Like I gave him a little reprieve because of Ramadan, but it's over with now. But that's what they're doing basically. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's shameful.
And that why I don't hear nothing from them now that unbeknownst to them that Trump is supporting Israel.
Oh, I know.
The way they're doing. They just as quiet. So anyway.
All right, so listen, I was getting ready to put something in the chat, but I'm gonna I need to step away because I need to make Margaret on this end.
Yes, sir.
But I'll let me make my grib and go down and get myself a bowl. If it all still on, I'll come right back.
Right.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikum
So he mentioned Islamic relief. So here, probably, I don't think we did it last year. At least I was part of it last year. But the 3 years prior, we got together with ICTA and did the backpack giveaways before school. I mean, I think the most active year was probably 2022. I think we hit like 5 different events and probably gave away maybe 2,500 school, backpack for school supplies and stuff like that. So I guess that's kind of the part of the effort to lower some of the costs for families and things like that. So obviously that's something that we need to continue to do in those communities that definitely are involved in that, is continue to do that. But I do think that all of our mascots need to stock food pantries for canned goods and flour. I mean, things that will last.
Right.
Peanut butter. I mean, stuff like that. I think it would be a good idea to do that, just in case, as he would say, as the Imam was saying, just in case. If nothing comes of this, comes of the law, But if something does happen and people in the community are hurting, at least we will have a beginning of being able to offer some limited relief to those. I mean, the whole paying rent thing, I don't see that. That's a whole nother level.
What, paying people's rent?
Paying people's rent. Man.
Yeah, we've gotten a couple of requests in our last year to pay rent, and one came in during Ramadan. So
you have to try to do it, right? You got to try to do it.
Yeah, but what we do, we write the check to the landlord.
Of course. Oh yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah.
Trust but verify, or whatever Reagan said. But
right.
No, you can't be handed out, $1,800 to somebody who said they rented to. No.
Right.
Be at the casino quicker than you can say poof. Around here, because the casino's close. They're like 70 miles away. But yeah, that's a tough deal. Paying rent, paying school tuition for people, that's a tough deal. But food and clothing, I think those are 2 areas that there definitely can be some assistance that doesn't overburden the rest of it. We should have some organized efforts toward that in all of our communities. And again, this is not something that needs to be. It doesn't have to be national. I think every community should do it on its own. You know your own community. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I wish there were more people on here, is education. If they're going to move forward with a couple of things, number one, disbanding the education department, and what that could potentially mean as to what your children are actually going to legally be able to be taught in school. You couple that with the push. Now, this is Texas. I don't know what North Carolina's doing or any other state, but the push toward the voucher system. For private schools, basically. And if we were to work to get our schools, make sure our schools are certified and qualified for those X number of dollars per student, as long as there's no strings attached, you know, that say you gotta put a picture of white Jesus on the wall and the Ten Commandments, and you gotta teach that Robert E. Lee was a great patriot and all that kind of stuff. It may not be a bad idea for us to prepare ourselves for that coming about and building our own school system. What do you think about that idea?
Well, I do think we need to be self-sustained in our own school system. I mean, I truly believe that needs to happen. But if the government money comes down, you know, that's only a temporary fix. If it did come down to that.
When you say, what do you mean by temporary?
Where laws can pass and laws can be changed.
True.
That's
right. So you're saying that a new administration comes in, reconstitutes education department, judges strike down school vouchers or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that can always happen. So my thought on that is if you have an opportunity to use your own money, which much of that money is our money that we pay into the system, it gets regurgitated out. If we have an opportunity to use those funds to establish and show that we can provide an exemplary education to students, prepare them for college, careers, whatever, right? Professional careers, college. Then if it goes away and goes back to just funding public schools, you still stand the chance of being able to retain some of those students whose parents are willing to pay for them to be in that environment, and maybe for their younger siblings to follow them. So I mean, I guess I don't necessarily see harm. I mean, unless you thought you had to go into a huge building program and put up grand buildings to house all these kids or something, which I would not do. But if it was simply the money is there, you're able to hire educators because you've got enough students to be able to facilitate that, then the worst thing that can happen is they yank the money from you 2 years down the road. Those educators that you added, some of them have to go back to the public school system. I mean, chances are you don't suffer any losses of any magnitude, other than simply the fact that you don't have as robust a student body as you had with the vouchers. But at least it give us an opportunity to expose neighborhood children, maybe more of the Islamic children who go to public schools, to what that learning environment.
I guess I'm like this. Being one that was around in the late mid 70s and late 70s, and we had a school there called Clay Muhammad School in Winston-Salem.
Yep.
And we did everything we had to do to keep it open. And we wanted to pay the teachers a living wage.
Mm-hmm.
So if it meant we had to sell Krispy Kreme donuts on the weekends, we did that.
Right.
Carrot cakes on the Winston State campus to the football players, because you know, Friday evening they were going to be hungry. That's what we did. And some of our students graduated before they were 18, some at 16. And when they got accepted at Bennett College, North Carolina A&T, one of them got accepted at North Carolina State, we knew we were doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that kind of spirit operating in the communities right now. I don't see that.
I agree with you. I don't see it either.
So to think that a school is going to be established that's from out of nowhere because of some voucher system that can change at a time, I just don't, you know, I
What about at the campuses that we currently have?
right now we have 5 full-time schools remaining. And one of them is in Bermuda.
Okay.
And we can't send money to Bermuda like we want to, because in the Bermuda banking system, they charge $40 for out of country transactions. So if we send 50, the school only gonna get 10.
My goodness.
Hey, with us. So that's what's going on now.
So somebody who actually lives in Bermuda couldn't even come to the United States and pick any money up. They're gonna get hit by a tax when they get back at the airport, right?
And it's Bermuda now. They might not get back in. Somebody gonna accuse them of something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate. Yeah, basically, yes.
Wow. Okay. So Nashville, Atlanta. Trying to think of the other off the top of my head.
Oh, Atlanta, and you have Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, yeah.
And then you have I said Miami, right? Atlanta, Miami, Milwaukee,
Nashville.
Yeah. Those are the 4 mainland schools.
Mm-hmm. And then Bermuda.
Yes.
So those particular schools, even if it was for 2 years of them not really having to change, I mean, I'm assuming they wouldn't have to change, because I'm assuming that all of those schools are accredited. Like, if your child is going there and they got to transfer because your job transferred you, all their credits, classes they pass, and all that stuff travel to you.
Right.
Okay. So they shouldn't run up against having to make any dramatic administrative changes to their school other than simply being able to accommodate if they added 20 or 30 students who
Right.
came there with vouchers.
Right.
I actually think that would be a benefit. Just because I like the idea of exposure.
Gotcha.
Exposure without risk or limited risk. You know, there's no such thing as zero risk.
Right.
But I would actually like to see that happen, and not because I have anything against public schools. I would like to see it happen because I think it would be a benefit to those schools of ours that are making an effort, those communities are making an effort toward education. And maybe that becomes a beacon to other communities to say, why aren't we doing this? I don't know. Maybe too lazy, might be too late. But I would love to, if it's going that way. Because again, I have nothing against the public school system. But if it's going that way, I would definitely like to see us take advantage of it.
Oh yeah, most definitely, yeah. Most definitely.
Because the fact that we only have those schools, when I know that we have lots of children. Yeah, I think I heard Yaki say that, and I didn't go to DeSoto for Eid, I went to Harvard for Eid festivities. But he was saying something about over 200 children being there with their parents, grandparents, or whatever, in a relatively small community, DeSoto, Massachusetts, here in the Dallas area. You got that many quote unquote children. You got enough for a school. Even if you only had 50 or 60 of them, you could have a school.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If they could see a community like that, maybe, if there's somebody there intelligent enough to use basic math, they could see their way clear to say, okay, this is going to provide, I don't know what, I think in Texas, it's somewhere between $13,000 and $14,000 per student.
Mm-hmm.
So if the government is going to give that to parents and have the parents be able to make a choice, it'd be kind of nice if our school system with our values or virtues had a chance to do it. At least make an effort of educating, transferring those virtues to the children.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just me. Our kids are grown. Well, we got a couple of minutes before 7. You got any thoughts on Social Security or just communities in general? And I should say Social Security, Medicare, because they kind of joined at the hip.
So do I have any thoughts on it, you say?
Yeah, any thoughts on proposals that are out there to either take away some benefits from them, privatize this, or whatever? And do you have any thoughts on any of that around Social Security and Medicare?
Brother, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what this crew is thinking about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing, they're still dealing with the myth that African Americans are benefiting as though we're the only ones benefiting from it.
that kind of narrative works in Alabama.
Huh?
I said that kind of narrative works in Alabama.
It works all over the country. It works. I'm sure it works everywhere. It works everywhere, unfortunately. And that's what's so sad about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're worrying about what others are getting and what they're not getting. You know. So, but I just know it's a lot of people are worrying right now.
Yep. That is true.
A lot of people are worrying about what's going to come, what's going to happen.
Yeah, I've got several friends of mine that are ex-military. Quite a few of them did more than 20.
Mm-hmm.
And I would bet 70% of them carry some kind of disability
Mm-hmm.
from the military, partial or full. So when you do, and I didn't know this till they explained it. So when you do your 20 plus in the military, it locks in a military pension.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a cost of living element to that, with like Social Security, which you get bumped up.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you have a disability on top of that, whatever your level of disability, that money is added on top of your retirement. It's not like you don't say, well, you're getting so much retirement, so you only get a certain percentage of this disability. It's actually added on top of it. So I have one friend who, with both, is in the $150,000 range, income range every year.
And it's tax free.
And it's tax free, exactly. Right.
I had one client. He was 110% disabled.
Okay.
He got 110% rating.
Mm.
He didn't have to pay tax on his regular retirement.
And you don't have to pay for your tag for your car, and
it depends on what the local laws are.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Depends on what the local laws are.
Okay.
So, and so you got a whole lot of people that are upset that people are getting all these breaks and they not. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Or talking about go back where you came from. I wish somebody would tell me that.
I'm standing there. That's where I'm from, right here.
Where were you on the beach 400 years ago? You follow me? Mm-hmm. Why didn't you tell me then to go back where I came from? Right. Oh man, it's crazy, man. And they can't see like you're talking about Trump's the stock market's down. They don't even understand what's going on. It says buy low, sell high. Isn't that the formula?
That is the formula.
Buy low, sell high. You can't get no lower than low right now. Now's the time to buy.
Exactly.
But they don't see that that's the wealthy get back in the system with a low basis and hope it come back up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're gonna make sure it comes back up.
Yep.
Yeah. The funny thing is that I know that a bunch of them are shorting it on the way down. They already bet that it was going to fall.
Yep.
And made money already because it went below a certain level.
Yeah.
Now they're going to buy back in and ride it back.
Right. I said, boy, this is P.T. Barnum be rolling in his grave.
Oh, yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
sucker
but he's
born every day.
every minute and two to take it. That is very true. But I mean, we don't really teach critical thinking in this country anymore.
So
So
we don't teach no kind of thinking.
yeah. Well, how's the tax thing going? You get some more people lined up for later.
Yeah, I'm probably at about 110 extensions. That's my
Yeah.
inventory.
Inventory keeps growing. Oh, it's all priced right.
They want to know. They get mad. Why you ain't doing my tax? I couldn't get to it. But should I go somewhere else? I said, if you like. I said, but if you think you might, why don't you make an estimated payment with your extension?
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, I don't want to do that. Well, even if you go somewhere else and you owe and you ain't got the money, you still gonna get penalized.
Right.
Because the money due April 15th. The return is due October 15th. And that's what messes them up. I said, when I apply for an extension, they only ask you why you want one. They say, okay. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They used to, you had to get it approved. When I first started doing it, you had to get it approved. They don't even approve one. You got it, no problem. File it when you can. Just do it by October 15th. So to try to educate people in that stuff is the hard part.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so for the next 8 days, I'm just cranking out extensions. I'm not even going to do any tax returns.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Why don't you close us out, and we'll both get some rest. Get prepared to face another wild and wacky day
Yeah.
with grace.
There you go. All right.
Yep.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Oh, Lord, give us the best benefits in this life and the best benefits of life to come. And save us from the torment of the hellfire. Amen.
Amen.
My phone ringing. No rest for the weary, brother.
I hear you. All right, brother. Have a wonderful evening.
Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Beyond accounting and tax service. Yes.